Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Tanis Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy, and I am a Reiki Master, a Celtic Shamanic High Priestess, channel, I do stuff. And I am joined with my co-host, Jennifer Jurkofsky. We've had an afternoon. So thank you for your understanding for our late entry. We are happy to be here and happy to have you all, and want to say big hello to Gerald. Hi, Gerald, for joining us. Thank you. And how is everyone else doing today? Because it's a day.
It's a day. It's been a week.
It has been a week.
So, yeah, we were talking beforehand about last week being a very intense week.
Absolutely.
Right? I don't know if you guys remember what we were talking about in the transits about the need to bring in self-compassion because we have to be able to ride those waves. And last week, I don't know about everybody else, but it was quite a week.
Indeed.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Hi,
I take them off because I find that they reflect everything, but maybe they don't. I don't know.
No, you're good. You're good.
I always feel like I have lights in them from the screen, so I tend to lift them or take them off. But
just makes it magical.
Maybe it makes
lights in your eyes.
There we go.
There we go. So yes, it was quite a week. Indeed. I mean, we've had some huge storms. We had one of the biggest ones recorded, apparently, that came and hit the earth on the 24th. So just as we were kind of anticipating last week, we were saying things were coming. And some other stuff happened on Thursday, Friday. We had some other disruptions in the force from solar storms, etc. So to use the Star Wars analogy. So there's lots going on, right?
Definitely. Well, yeah. And then as of the 24th, we switched transits and we switched into 17, which is opinions.
Oh.
So I don't know about all of you about how the last, few days have gone. I know for me, I really saw this come up of there's this question and everybody has their opinion and their belief and their hypothesis, and it's, this is going to work, this is not going to work, and this is, this or that, and really getting to a place where maybe we're not allowing for that feeling connection as much, and it takes a lot more work to have that come into play, because we're in this very kind of logical transit right now, which for me showed up as bumping heads and feeling, it's hard to be heard, it's hard to hear, it's hard to really connect on that deeper level. And it took a lot of work to be very mindful of that and be able to process, through all of it.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah. And it was a week for processing. I think everybody was feeling that last week. Everybody I talked to, there was a lot of fatigue. So what happens when all these things, all this plasma hits the ionosphere, right, at the earth, it raises the vibration. And so it is happening for us. However, it's uncomfortable, right? And so that stuff has to bubble up. All of our old stuff that we've pushed down for years has to come up. And that's what happened last week. So a lot of people were processing, and ascension symptoms came into play last week. There was a lot of fatigue, some tummy upset stuff happening. There was headaches and whatnot in the last bit. So there's been lots of those physical ascension symptoms that have happened as well. So a lot of this is all it's transit related, it's sun related, there's a lot of it hitting us at the same time. Yeah. So just know you're not alone out there, guys. We are all looking at it. Everything that I've seen, all of our community, we're all feeling it. So know that you're not alone. These are unprecedented times in terms of energetic situations, I'm going to say. because we are in such an amazing time to be here on Earth. I know it sounds contradictory, but it's true, right? We're in this time where things are so
accelerated.
Yes, good word. Good word. Yeah, accelerated.
And with acceleration, things happen fast, and we have to process a lot more in a smaller amount of time, and it's a lot.
It is. And you know what processing is? Processing is different for each and every one of us. Like for me, I cry. It's what I do. And I don't see tears as a negative anymore. For me, it's a mechanism. It's a mechanism to move the energy, right? And so I had to really move out of that because I used to be in that situation where, you're not allowed to cry at work. I was a manager. I couldn't be that emotional. And I really had to let go of my attachment to the thought of crying being a weakness or that crying is not good, right? For me now, it's good. It's like, I just need to cry. I need to cry. There's processing to be done. I need to cry. So, yes, Gerald, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Most
says tears are
definitely.
cleansing and healthy. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And hello, Annie. Great to have you with us. Thank you. She's saying it was a difficult week for her, quite a few emotional and physical stuff coming up. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, everybody's going through that. Shem, too. I agree. It's all coming up for so many years to clear. It's overwhelming, but crying does really help. Ride the wave and don't fight it. Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Ride
Jen and I talk about that a lot. We just gotta ride the wave. Awesome.
Well, and it's, with what you're talking about too, right? With the emotional piece and having this other understanding, right? So part of what's happening right now is also this transition and openness to, we talk about opinions of allowing things to be what they are and seeing things from all perspectives and looking, outside of the box and then kind of going, there is no box. Okay, this is a totally different way of understanding and perceiving, but it opens us up for so much more.
It does indeed. Mm-hmm. So, Gerald.
I think I know what that's in reference to.
Well, I can share because I'm looking at it. So we're super excited to have Gerald from Tarot Stash on our show. He'll be coming on April 17th. So looking forward to that. Yay, thank you. We're so excited, Gerald. So excited.
That's awesome. Good
Looking
stuff.
forward to that. So we'll have a big day on the 17th.
Yeah, because you guys are doing.
Yeah, I've been asked to be on his as well. So we're very excited.
So exciting!
It's always great to work with each other. In these things, it's fun to have different conversations and bring in different topics and like-minded people. And we all laugh a lot, so it's bound to be a great day. So we're looking forward to it.
Most definitely.
So don't miss that
Good
one,
stuff.
April 17th.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's going on with everybody? Do you have a topic or do you want us to pull a card like always? I know we're a little short on time, and I thank you all for your patience and waiting for us.
That's awesome. Huge smiles all around. Spread the joy. Show people what it's like to be heard and valued. Absolutely. That holding space thing, right? That's what we need to do for each other right now.
I think that's what we had talked about before. Is holding space as a topic with Gerald.
Oh, is that the topic? We were trying to figure out what it was, but we knew we had said something. So, Gerald, let us know if that's what you want to talk about, okay?
But yeah, that spreading joy, and it's so interesting. The number of times, and I say it so often with clients, what brings you joy?
I think that should be our
What
topic.
are you doing to bring joy? Oh, yes, and wear the crowns.
Shem wants us to make sure we wear our crowns, Gerald.
Well remembered. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so he's saying yes, it was holding space. That's awesome. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think for today, joy is a good topic. That just,
Wonderful topic.
that's perfect. That's how I feel we need to talk about that.
I have goosebumps all over.
This would be the topic for the day, joy.
So how do you bring joy into your experience? What do you do that lights you up?
I think Gerald wears crowns to light him up. He says, "Duh, I won't forget. I just have to pick which crown. So many choices."
Nice.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Beautiful topic, joy. Excellent. Thank you. So I'm going to put this out to you guys. What brings you joy? What is it that brings you joy? What lights up your life? What is it that you look at and you cannot help but smile? What is that for you?
Mm-hmm.
What is it for you, Jen?
So many things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, things. Starting in the morning, it is joy to look out the window and see the trees. It is joy. Bye, Jill.
I will
Thanks
see
so
you soon.
much for
Thanks for dropping in.
You know, having
These are good ones.
Oh,
Shem says sunset,
Sunset.
nature, my walks, just some dimension. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Going for walks, having a good meal. I love to eat. And I love to eat yummy food.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, one thing that really brings me joy? So Jen and Jacqueline and I get together. And when we go to Jen's place, they have this cool tool called Plant Wave. I don't know if you guys have seen these. They are so cool. You attach them, you clip them. They've got these little clippies, and it's this little device, and it clips to a plant. And the plant vibration is changed into sound waves. And
And it plays beautiful music.
Jen has a Bodhi plant. Oh my gosh. A Bodhi tree. It is amazing. That brings me joy.
Oh, yeah.
That brings me joy. Our whole weekends bring me joy, but that one in particular thing, that brings me joy. You guys gotta listen to this. If go on YouTube if you don't have that handy, but they have some of them on there. Plant Wave. You'll see, it's beautiful, just beautiful.
Maybe one of these episodes I'll bring it down and hook it up to one of the plants in here and let you guys hear it.
It's beautiful.
What's also really awesome is because it takes the biorhythm frequencies and it turns it into music. And so, you know, we've had it hooked up to a bunch of different plants. Dawn's Bodhi tree is amazing. And there's so much energy around the Bodhi tree anyway, right?
Well, you get the collective consciousness stuff as well, right? And how sacred that is for many people. So there's also that piece that I think affects the vibration overall. But we also we were playing with it one weekend too.
We were, and that brought so much joy too, being able to listen to each other's biorhythms and the music that we were making and all
cool.
of that. And you know, it's interesting because when we talk about finding joy, right? I think so much of it, there's certain things that just light us up, right? And they come into our experience and we're like, and it's so wonderful. And then there are times where we experience something and it's like, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Right? And then we experience something else and we're like, oh, I love this too. Right? And then it just opens up this ability to see joy in so many different things. When you're in that space, it's just like, oh, and I love this. Oh, and I love that.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Hello. I think that might be Michelle. Maybe I'm just looking here. Yes, Michelle. Hey.
Hi, Michelle. It just says Facebook user, so I gotta wait for her to tell me who it is.
Oh, Gary. Hi, Gary. Gary's on too. He says he talks about plant wave in his flower remedies class. Look at this.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. And here's the
it's
hello from, this is Michelle Marie. Hello. It's great to have you.
Yeah, so guys, come on. What else brings you guys joy?
What brings you joy?
What lights you up? What makes you smile? When things are going kind of sideways, what is that one thing or two things or 20 things that come in and go, oh yeah, okay, life is good. We're still good.
Mm-hmm. Hugs. Yeah. Hugs bring me joy.
Hugs.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, sitting outside, feeling the breeze. You know, on a warm day. Not a cold girl, sorry. But warm.
Sunshine.
Yes, sunshine. Ooh, hugs and a cup of tea. That is my language. Yeah, definitely.
I love the hug and I love the cup of tea, but I also love the cup of tea with a nice, warm, fuzzy blanket and a good book and a swing chair.
Yes.
Oh, kitty cats, most definitely.
Yes. And Annie, she's a beautiful artist, so she's done some art. So that's awesome. Absolutely, being creative brings out joy, doesn't it? And Gary says his kitty cat and music and nature. Awesome.
Yes. Look at all these wonderful things to bring joy into our experience.
And Michelle says she pulled the delight card from Ganesha Oracle this morning, and I was like, how is this going to factor into my day? Now I know. Hanging with you lovely people brings me joy. Yay!
Yay!
Delight and joy. They are very synonymous, I think. A nice movie. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Gary agrees. The sun. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that it's an important piece to very intentionally and consciously connect with things that bring us joy.
Yeah.
Right? Because we talk about, okay, what brings us joy? And then it's, okay, now how often do I seek those things out?
Mm-hmm.
How often do I allow myself time and space to really be present with them?
Yeah. And, sometimes just being can be joyful.
Yeah.
When we're so busy doing everything all the time, sometimes just sitting and being is that quiet joy. That quiet joy. And I think that's the whole thing with the plant wave thing, is because oftentimes we'll sit there and we'll listen to the plant wave and it's just being and being really present with that. So, being present with whatever makes you joyful. I mean, it's also dancing makes me joyful. We did some of that on our last weekend too. That was kind of fun.
That is fun. I love dancing. I miss dancing, and I really feel like I need to bring that back into my experience more.
Mm-hmm.
Movement in general, right? Like, it doesn't have to be, anything structured or anything like that, but being able to just move and experience that flow of energy and allow it to, cleanse as you're in movement is such a beautiful thing
It is.
and so joyful.
And it really can help you release emotions too. We were talking about that earlier. Like, sometimes we get emotion like caught, like even for me, it was my hips for a little bit, and it was caught in my hips, and I didn't know it was emotion. I just felt it as pain. And I was like, and then I managed to release some of it, and it amazing the difference it makes when you can do that.
Well, and it's so interesting too, right? And we've talked about this before too, but the idea that, a lot of times we have physical pain that shows up in the body, and we don't always know what it's associated with or what is going on there. And then we realize that it's actually connected to something else. And so being able to release that energy allows space for that pain to subside as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And Michelle says, I agree, Gary. We make sure to spend extra time outdoors when the sun comes out in Seattle. We have to take vitamin D for our overcast climate. Yes, I bet. I bet you do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just like those BC Canadians. They spend a lot of time in the rain over there too. So yeah, for sure.
Well, and the sun it's life-giving,
It
right?
is.
That light, and also being able to soak up some rays is
Well, and I guess, places like London, England and stuff too have a fair bit of rain too. So they must have to, take advantage of the sun when it's out and available. So
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm even thinking about here, right? We have the winter can be very gray,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's only if we have a very, very cold winter that we have those bright sunny blue skies without the clouds, and where the sun can really come through. And so it's hard to want to get that sun and all when it's winter. So it's such a beautiful time right now to really be looking at joy and what brings us joy and getting out into the sun and reclaiming some of those experiences, because it is this new growth and new beginning time.
Mm-hmm. So, play is a big factor in joy. So what does play mean to you guys? What does play mean? For me, it's like being creative. It's, not having schedule, being free to be in the moment and do what I feel in the moment. Michelle says, so true, Jen. I store anxiety in my stomach. Yeah, we all have our own physiological reactions, inflammation to stress. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, have a good evening. Awesome.
Thanks, Gary.
See you soon, Gary. We're on a call in a little bit.
Nice. But yeah, I mean, we hold stress, and we do all in our own way, and knowing how you hold it, like Michelle's saying, like that is such an important piece to recognize where and how you hold your stress and how it shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a good way of taking that kind of internal temperature. Where am I at right now? Am I giving too much energy to that stress? How can I bring in that joy? How can I bring in that play, that fun, humor, all of it, right? How can I bring that in to relieve some of this because of what I'm feeling inside? And I realize, okay, I'm pushing too much. I have to take that step back.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't even, I find this a lot of times, we don't realize that we're stressed, or we don't realize that we're holding on to that kind of stuff until we have something happen, right?
Yeah, until the body says, okay, that's enough.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, yeah, I guess I should have listened earlier. So, for all of it, it's I try. Not always perfect either, but I try to check in with my body. What do I need? What do I need right now? And you and I have talked about this before, not just on the physical, but in terms of, what do I need emotionally? What do I need spiritually? What do I need energetically and physically? And what are my needs right now? What do I need to look at? And checking in
Yeah, and to
regularly.
have a regular practice of checking in like that is really important throughout the day, right? You check in the morning. Where am
Yeah.
I at? What do I need for today? Check in throughout the day, right? At the end of the day, what do I need to release? What do I need to process?
Yeah. And so that's like that big, what's the word I'm looking for? Like thorough self-care. Thorough is not the word I'm looking for, but self-care. Right? That's how we do.
It's a holistic
Yeah.
self-care.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Holistic self-care. Being able to look at all of that, all angles, and checking in on each level of our being.
But you know what? Even if you do get to a place where it's like, oh, there it is in my body. Oh, my stomach's hurting. Oh, I've got inflammation again. I get bloating and all of that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, there it is
Yeah.
again. Right. And I do find often, instead of just looking at it, acknowledging it, releasing it, and moving forward, people then begin to beat themselves. Why didn't I catch this? Why didn't I see it? Why did I let myself get here again? What am I? That's, we're all going to go through these cycles. We're not perfect. We don't have it all down. We're never going to be, without any stress, unless maybe they give us a lobotomy and we don't even think about life anymore. I don't know,
Yeah,
right?
let's not go
But the
there.
idea is no. So as long as we're living and experiencing life, we're going to have these ebbs and flows. So it's really important to just, oh, look, there it is again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right? Now, can I bring this in and allow myself to just release it instead of beating myself up about
Exactly.
it?
Exactly. Oh, thank you, Martha.
Aw,
That's so
thank
sweet.
you.
Thank you.
Love having you
Yeah,
on.
that's awesome. Thank you for sharing your energy with us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it is the staying out of self-judgment when we go through these stages. And we've talked about this before. When we go into this stuff, we try to make sense of it because our brain needs to be linear, and we try to make sense of it, and there isn't always sense to be had.
Especially when it's collective or transits or whatever else, and we don't always realize what is happening in the moment.
Mhm.
And I know we've talked about the whole left brain, right brain so many times on here, right? And I've talked about like the No Self, No Problem book that I adore when he talks about, neuroscience and stuff. And, we want to be able to make sense because we want to be able to label.
Right.
Because in order to, once we've labeled it, we can decide, we can judge it and say, this is good, this is not so good, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we have the ability to just make sense of everything. But in making sense of everything, we often lose touch with what's real and correct because the brain has decided a very limiting thing, right? We talk about the transit right now of opinions, right? Part of that is moving away from defined opinion and moving into this kind of omniscience of allowing anything and everything, and it's all open and fluid.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. It keeps things from getting too heavy or too dense. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for sharing, Sharon. It's great to have you on. So fun is playing and being creative. You have to take time and make the time to enjoy. Take at least 15 minutes to relax and check in on yourself. Maybe it could even be meditation or coloring your way to relaxation. Feed your soul with creativity.
I love
Beautiful.
it. Most
Beautiful, Sharon.
definitely.
Thank you.
Most definitely.
And Shem says, I so agree. We try to sense about everything. What's the book again, Jen? And I can put it in the comments here.
Yeah, I don't know if I have it right here. It might be on the bookshelf across the way. It's called, oh, no, it's right here.
Oh, it's
No
backwards.
Self, No Problem. Sorry, it is because I don't like looking at myself and lifting this hand and seeing it lift over here. So I switched the camera.
And who's
But it's No Self, No Problem. It's by Chris Niebuhr, Niebuer. And actually, I think he's coming out with a workbook for it soon as well. But yeah, it's neuropsychology is catching up to Buddhism is the
awesome?
subtitle for it.
Awesome.
Um, It's a really easy read, and it makes a lot of sense when it talks about, just the mind and how it works and how we kind of get stuck in it, and it doesn't really care what's real or what isn't.
Yeah. Well, what is real, right?
Mm,
What is real?
yeah.
Reality is our perception of what's happening. That's our reality. So my reality is different from Jen's reality. It's different from your reality, right? From all of
Yeah.
you.
And our reality is also based on the filters that we
Yeah.
have. Past experiences, our biases and belief system, our core beliefs, all of that, right, impact how we perceive something. So we might both go through the exact same event and see it very, very differently and experience it very differently. And that's actually really normal.
It is. I always use my phone actually as an example for perception, right? Because when you see this, you see it purple. That's not what I see, right? I see my screen. So
Yeah.
it's very different perception, same item, different view. And our lives can be that way as well. And I was listening to somebody, oh my goodness, I can't remember his name at the moment, but he was talking about how, and I'll put it in the notes when I come across it, how we can flip timelines just by being more open, right? If we can be cognizant of the fact that maybe we have some blockages going on, like we're keeping people at bay or whatever, right? Like with defense mechanisms happening. If we don't want to be in that reality, right now everything is so fluid that we can just say, okay, we don't want to be in this reality. We want to consciously switch to a different reality where we're more open, where we allow for that curiosity in life, because that's kind of what happens, right? We get stuck in our ways and we kind of don't want to be curious. We're happy to be in the same space and just kind of sit here. But then if we can get into that being curious about what's next, what else could there be, what else can we do, what else can happen?
Yeah. How many times I have that mantra, open and curious, open and curious. Open and curious, right? Because, as long as we're curious, we can understand and know so many things that we don't have access to when we decide we know.
Yeah.
Right? The moment I say, oh yeah, I know what that is, we've just shut the door. Right?
Yeah.
And so being able to stay curious, it's interesting, like in IFS, internal family systems, one of the things that we talk about is embodying this self energy, right? And so in IFS, they have the 8 C's of self energy, and curiosity is right in there.
Yeah.
Right? Because we really want to recognize that as long as we stay open and curious, we can get rid of that judgment.
Right.
We can, remove it from the experience. And then in that moment, anything's possible.
Right. What else is possible?
I know. Well, and I we talked about what brings you joy. One of the things for me and why I say so many things bring me joy is because I love living with a sense of wonder.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so, the smell of coffee in the morning, my cup of tea, somebody's toasting some nice smelling bread, and I'm like,
Cinnamon toast.
Cinnamon toast, right? When the sun's shining in the window, when the snow's falling down, when it's raining, when the wind's blowing, it's like, oh, look, it's so pretty.
Exactly.
But it's the ability to find wonder in the experience. And now there is so much room for joy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Michelle Marie says, that's what I love about our modalities. Our realities are orchestrated by the divine and can be tracked by the planets. We all represent a note in this crazy symphony called Maya.
I love that,
That's
Michelle.
beautiful.
Thank you.
And Shem says, so much to learn here. Thank you. Absolutely.
I think that's the other piece too. And I really appreciate that, Michelle, about that idea of realities being orchestrated by the divine. Because I think so often we go through something and it's like, I don't like
Yeah.
this. Right? And then
You
we
were going to say this
immediately
sucks,
go
right?
into,
That's what you were going to say.
yeah.
I was like, I know what she's going to say.
Right? But I remember one time someone say, just somebody was talking about something and it was like, you know what though? It's not over until it's good.
Mm.
Whatever good is, right? And good isn't always what we think it is.
That is true. And that's where that wonderment comes in, right? If we can stay curious and in wonderment, that's when we notice the good when it's not, when we wouldn't have expected it.
Yeah. And sometimes we can go through some pretty rough stuff in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're not through it until we can get to a place that says, okay, I get it. It wasn't easy. Didn't necessarily enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I get it. Right? And at that point, it's good. Not that the, 3D definition of good applies, but the ultimate growth and ability to understand and see things from a different light and open.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that, in that moment, there's also that little bit of joy.
Mm-hmm.
If you look for it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Flowers bring me joy as well, I have to say.
Yay!
I have a beautiful plant right now, and I bought it simply to bring me joy. And it was at Costco. They had these potted plants, and I don't normally, it's not often that I'll like purchase myself a flower or plants, right? But this one, I have a real soft spot for calla lilies and for the color purple. This pot has purple calla lilies. And right now, I just took some pictures this afternoon because it's got like five different calla lilies in full bloom on it. It is so beautiful. And it made me smile. So I took pictures because I wanted to smile later. Yep. Oh, is anyone else having sound issues? Sharon is saying that there's some sound issues. She said it could be her iPod. So let me know if there's anybody else having any sound issues, okay? And this is Michelle. One of my favorite quotes is, "We change when we tire of suffering." Whenever I'm suffering, I ask myself what changes I need to make.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's interesting, Michelle. I have a story that I share with clients about that. And it's actually, I think he's like a rabbi who tells the story of it. But basically, it's how do lobsters grow? And so it's fascinating because lobsters, even when they're babies, look like lobsters. They're just wee little baby lobsters. But their shells don't actually grow. So what happens is the lobster expands within its shell until it hurts so much that it can't handle it anymore. And then it goes and it finds a safe space, normally under a rock or something, where it's able to shed its shell. And in that moment, it is so vulnerable. But it has to do that because it can't handle that suffering anymore. Mm-hmm. And then it grows a new shell and it embraces that next stage of its life and off it goes.
Oh,
until it needs to do that.
That
again.
Is so much like our spiritual journeys, don't you think? Oh my goodness. Yeah. That time when you're shedding your shell, you feel like I got tingles too. You're shedding your shell and you feel so vulnerable. And that's those tearing moments where you're like just so vulnerable and you're so like, I actually call them my eggshell days because you're fragile, right? And so they're like my eggshell days. And so it's interesting. It goes with the lobster shell. It's a shell theme.
It is. Well, and what's beautiful is when we bring it back to this idea of joy, it's like that moment where that shell is released, even though that lobster is so vulnerable. And I think about, like, even on our journey, we are so vulnerable in that moment when we shed that, and yet there is such elation to not have that suffering anymore and to be able to release it.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much joy in that moment.
Beauty and growth in that moment, right? And if you think about it, that's kind of where we're at on a global scale, right? We're in that just before the, so
Yeah.
individually, the more we can shed the shell and be that vulnerable, which is, by the way, guys, part of why Jen and I come on here, is to be vulnerable and to be, encourage others to be vulnerable, and that it's okay to be authentic and vulnerable, because it does help with all of our growth when we can be vulnerable. I mean, we're not going to, obviously, you're more vulnerable.
We're not going to trauma dump on you
No.
like that.
I was going to say almost, and it's not like you're going to be vulnerable with just anybody, right? I mean, we do need to be somewhat cautious in terms of that, just for our own stuff. But I think that the more you can be vulnerable with those that you trust and that you love, and it just helps to make stronger connections, right?
Yeah. Well, and it circles back to holding space, right? Like we talked about what we will talk about with Gerald when he comes on, hopefully. But again, this idea that, when we have those vulnerable moments, it's okay to have somebody with you too, right? Like the lobster idea, I don't know, maybe lobster mummies go with their lobster babies, and I don't know. I don't know that part of the process. But again, right? Like, we don't have to be alone.
Yeah.
And there's so many of us going through these transitions and needing to shed these shells, that we can do that together.
Yeah.
And we can support each other, and we can stand guard for each other, and we can have each other's backs in those moments and take turns, right? In allowing space for that vulnerability to happen.
And that's what's so important about community. That's the other reason that I feel strongly about building the Twillow lifestyle community, right? Because we do need to be there for each other. And it's a beautiful thing when we can be there for each other, when there's that trust and holding space and all of that awesome stuff.
Well, and I think about it too, right? Like we talk about this idea of what brings joy, and and we talked about vulnerability before too on the show, and talking about just our own kind of, okay, we're really going to do this, and we're really going to do this live, and that's really okay. We're really going to do this, right? And one of the things that has brought me the most joy is having you all interact.
Absolutely.
And knowing that, we are a community. And even though it's, you and I on here talking, like we're able to interact with you and share that energy. And it's just such a beautiful, amazing experience. So thank you, because you guys bring me joy.
Absolutely. You bring out both of us joy. It's awesome. And Michelle says, I love that story, Jen. When bald eagles molt, they're naked and vulnerable to predators and weather events for 2 months. Once their new feathers come in and they can fly, they can better withstand the wind and provide more warmth when flying.
That is wonderful.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. I love that story, Michelle. Thank
Beautiful.
you.
And here's something from Shem. Thanks, Michelle, Marie, Tanis, Coughlin, and Jen, for being here. It's a beautiful community. Well, thank you for being here. Right? Yeah. It's not a community without people. People are what make communities. So, we're so thrilled that you guys choose to join us each and every week. We're just really touched by that. And, our community has other shows as well. We have Wednesday, Michelle, Marie, and I are on, and we often have Jen on as a guest, and we have lots of other amazing guests as well that come on and join us to do readings on, so Wednesdays, it's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. can't remember the other time zones. But that gives you an idea. We're online.
If you know 7 Eastern, you can figure out where you are in the.
And then every second Friday, we have another show. I do one with Ramsey Cheedy, and that's on at 7 p.m. every second Friday, called Open Mic. And so, and that's a conversation as well. So and we have different guests coming in there too. So, it's amazing to connect and learn from each other, right? Create that shared understanding of the world and of each other and of ourselves, because that's what it's about, right? Getting to know ourselves, getting to know where we feel good, where we're comfortable, where we're not, and that's how we get to know ourselves. And I know Jen and Jacqueline Richardson and myself were working on a class as well about getting to know ourselves, right? So it's going to be a pretty fun one. And I know Michelle Marie is getting ready to teach a huge, I think it's 12 weeks modules of intro to Vedic astrology, which is going to be so much fun.
So fun.
There's lots going on.
That is awesome.
Oh, here we go. Here's our show for this week. Every week, 4 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we have author and medium Tracy Hildreth Escobar on this week. So that's exciting.
And Shem said, don't miss Wednesday, everybody.
Exactly. Don't miss Wednesday, because that's what's coming on Wednesday. So join us for that. And I think she has her own show as well. Does she not, Michelle? I think she does. She does her own show too. So she has a podcast too. So stay tuned on Wednesday, and you'll get all of that information. And it's just so much fun to be doing all of this. Here we go. Awesome. We're looking forward to you teaching as well. This is from Michelle. So much fun.
Yeah, Michelle is so amazing with all of
Absolutely.
that. So if you have the opportunity to take a class from her, holy moly, what you can learn.
Absolutely. Yeah. She's got like a whole degree in this, guys. Like, you need to take this class. It's going to be amazing. And it really is. There is really a science to it, right? And that is an amazing part about getting to know ourselves. So that's another great one, to get to know yourself, right? Yes, that's what I thought. I thought she was not on the one that I did. I was on Metaphysical Happy Hour with Cassie not long ago. Tracy was busy that night. So yeah, it's on right after our show. They're fabulous, for sure.
Cool.
So yeah. So you can go right from our show to that one.
There you go.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Wow.
So many things to bring joy.
Exactly. Exactly. And we have the membership page as well, right? So that's growing, which is great. Good to see all those people. We're going to be having some members only events coming up soon. So, you might want to get in on that now, and because it's going to be fun. I think we're gonna rock it. We're looking at retreats. We're looking at all sorts of fun stuff coming up in the next year or so. So stay tuned. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Joy. I get excited. So it brings me joy. I'm sharing what brings me joy. Yeah. Yeah. It brings me joy.
And having a community of people to grow with, right? And to walk alongside.
It's a beautiful thing.
So much more than that.
I am just filled with gratitude. Filled with gratitude. And that is a big key component of joy. Is it not?
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
Definitely.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we can't quite do the hour because I have another thing to go and do. I have to go teach a class. So I just want to wish you all such an amazing week. And we'll be back next week. Stay tuned. We're hoping that we'll have a guest this coming week. And yeah, stay tuned. We'll pass that on to you as soon as we get confirmation on that. And have just a wonderful week. We're wishing you tons of joy this week. Joy and love.
Stay open and curious and look for things to bring in joy.
Absolutely. And Michelle says, great show. See you later this week. Absolutely. Looking forward to it. So have a great week, everyone. You can reach Jen. Jen, where can we reach you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twillow Lifestyle, or you can find me at myholisticself.com or Jennifer@myholisticself.com if you want to email me.
Awesome. And you can find me at twillowlifestyle.ca and, of course, on social media at Twillow Lifestyle. And we'll see you next week. Wishing you lots of love.
So much joy.
So much joy. Have a great week, everyone.